more than 300 ironclad examples of voter fraud.
Democrats allege Republicans want to block new registrations because a new voter is more likely to vote Democrat. But Republicans say you've got to get tough on voter registrations in order to prevent voter fraud.
We went ahead and dug a little bit deeper because it just didn't pass the smell test to me.
Out of those 381 ironclad cases of voter fraud, only one voter fraud suspect has ever been prosecuted among those Harris County brought forward.
Don't you think it's a bit alarmist to call these cases fraud when you only know that one case of fraud actually happened in?
It's not one case. It's one person.
You said they were ironclad examples of voter fraud, sir.
Liar, liar, that's a fire. Liar, liar, stop yourself from catching fire. Fire, gotta make a liar, liar.
We have a fantastic working relationship with the local League of Women Voters. They do not support anything that the State League of Women Voters says about this office.
Well, the local league's president says Bettencourt has got it wrong and called the state office extremely careful in their research.
Liar, liar, that's a fire. Liar, liar, stop yourself from catching fire. Fire, gotta make a liar, liar.
We took data from Mr. Bettencourt's office about how many people had been denied for missing certain check boxes that a lot of people commonly missed. The Secretary of State looked at that data and said, wow, we ought to change the form.
And so the state simplified the form, making it easier for applicants to not miss checking required boxes. But there's one problem.
And Mr. Bettencourt's office is not giving those forms out. They're still using the old ones.
What do you think about that?
I think that's insane.
Bettencourt says his office has asked the Secretary of State for the new forms, but still hasn't received them.
The Secretary of State's office tells us tonight that they sent 150,000 of them to Bettencourt's office in mid-August, and they say they have no record of his office requesting more later.
Liar, liar, that's a fire. Liar, liar, stop yourself from catching.
Why are Harris County voters and qualified Americans getting blocked from voting?
Research shows this year a new voter in Harris County is more likely to vote Democrat. The 11 News defenders have discovered real problems blocking qualified Americans from registering to vote.
There is a very large problem in Harris County.
Take brothers Amir, Naveed, and Omid Kamali. Each got rejected by Harris County, claiming each didn't give proper ID or the last 4 digits of their social security numbers. But take a look at their applications, and it's not hard to find the so-called missing information.
Of course they're going to miss one. This is 1 out of 1.9 million registered voters.
No, it's not. We're talking about a number of cases here.
No.
And you keep saying it's 1.
Mark,
but
we're
1
talking...
plus 1 plus 1 plus plus.
Sure, it adds up to 25.
This is not 1 or 2 registrations. This is thousands of registrations.
How does she know? It turns out Van Hughes reviewed registration records from the tax assessor's office.
These aren't numbers you're just coming up with on your own study.
Right.
These are numbers based off of his information.
Right.
The problem is competence or actual election fraud.
Mark, that's a supposition on your part.
Why don't you check for typos? Before you send that rejection letter, why don't you check first?
Mark, we do our best. Mark, this is real simple. This is a mistake by a temporary employee. We'll apologize to her now.
Could be.
Mark, we are as careful as we could. I think I'm doing my job, sir, because this is what I said in the committee hearing. I didn't go and change my mind. I didn't go in there and say that we didn't have an error. Sir, I said I had 4 errors, and that's on file with the House Elections Committee.
Liar, liar, that's a fire. Liar, liar, stop yourself from